Hello and welcome to episode number 19 of the Metabreakers Podcast, starring your boy DmoneyGames, your boy the Warshack, of course, and not to forget, all the way over there in the corner, weighing in at a comfortable, I'm not going to guess your weight, but DracoCatt over there. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday. It's another meta-breaking day in the Hearthstone community here. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the new cards today a bit, some of the new cards that were revealed, and of course the meta. How's it going, guys?
It's going great, man. Nice to see you today. And it definitely didn't sound like you were winging that intro. You definitely knew what you were going to say right before you started talking. So it was real clutch. I'm doing awesome though. Having a great weekend. How are you, Rob Warshack?
Shack. Yo, I'm doing okay. This week was good. The weekend was good. We had a really good stream yesterday, and new expansion on the horizon. Hearthstone's pretty, looking pretty exciting. There's a lot of flavor in this set, so overall, just pretty stoked.
Did you say horizon?
I might have slipped that in there.
Yeah, just a little side note. If anybody, oh my gosh, big raid coming in here too.
Holy shit! Welcome everyone.
Chris. Thank you. Yeah, just speaking of Horizon, my team Hype Horizon, we just acquired an amazing talent. His name is the Warshack, and that means that everybody on the podcast is a part of Hype Horizon. So soon you'll be seeing the Metabreakers podcast possibly be sponsored by Hype Horizon, which would be really cool, and it's going to be on the website as well. So just something to look forward to,
Yes.
Yep. And thanks again, Chris05, with a big raid. Hope you had a good stream, man, and welcome all of his viewers. For those of you who are unfamiliar and this is a weird surrounding to you, this is the Metabreakers podcast, where we talk about normally Hearthstone meta, what's been going on in the scene, some new decks, archetypes. Today, of course, we're going to be talking about briefly the meta, and then we're going to be transitioning into some of the new cards and what that may bring, and do some speculative thinking. So, welcome, guys.
Yeah, so there's a lot of controversial opinions about the new cards, and one thing that we didn't do before we got into the podcast was talk about our opinions on them. So hopefully we will all disagree with each other a whole bunch and argue, and that's
I will.
Yes, so that's the plan. So yeah, let's go. Well, we have the meta though right now. It looks kind of the same.
Yeah, so we just want to do a brief overview of the meta real quick. I know it's been like pretty stale, it's coming up to a new expansion and everything, but yeah, I mean, it looks pretty similar. How have you guys been experiencing the meta?
I mean, for me, it's definitely easy to see that Hunter is what is the best tier 1 deck to play, specifically Highlander Hunter. I mean, it's about, anywhere between 25 to about 35% of all games that I play is against the same Highlander Hunter list, and I think that's pretty prominent throughout Legend and non-Legend, and even High Legend from what we've spoke of. Paladin, Murloc Paladin seems to be, again, very popular when you queue into it. Most of the time, 80% is going to be that Murloc Paladin, with Libram being like, the other 20-ish%. They've got like a Libram Murloc package in there. And then, surprisingly, Demon Hunter is like, I haven't really seen a lot of it at all. I don't know if you guys have a similar trend.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really feel bad. It feel like I always explain this in my chat, and to other streamers that ask me about how does Demon Hunter feel after all of the nerfs and everything. And I would say that it doesn't feel weaker, but mistakes feel much more punishing. So a lot of times you just lose games now, especially against Mage now, because you get your face frozen before you can deal the damage in, and now we auto lose to Mage. So that's exciting. Yeah. But it's fun though. I've been playing with a lot of the different builds, and we climbed a bunch of ranks this week, but I am also getting a little bit burnout, I would say. I rarely ever go through that, but now I'm kind of so excited for the expansion that I've been and doing the qualifiers that I don't really just want to play right now, because it's a little stale for me. But that's it.
Yeah, you were saying that you're saying before that like the higher up you go, or like the lower, I guess, like the closer to like top 100 or whatever, like the more boring it gets because everybody's playing the same decks, right?
Yeah. And it's like just everyone, because you can just play, if it makes sense to play Hunter, and I get it, and I like playing. I play the same deck all the time, so I can't really be a hypocrite here and say like, oh damn, these guys, they're playing the best deck in the game. So but it's I don't want to play like a million Hunters all the time. That's the truth.
Yeah, I mean it's not fun. I play it every freaking day, and like sometimes you got to just resort to it yourself because it's like if you're trying to get to these top ranks, like you have to play the best decks, and that's just the reality of competitive card games in general. And it kind of sucks that like the best deck in the game is probably one of the most boring decks in the game because you just essentially are just curving out with your cards and just playing everything. Your only decision is really like, am I going face or am I trading? That's what it seems like most of the time. Or like, which 3-drop am I playing? Yeah, I feel like I think we're all ready for the new cards, and nothing crazy in the meta really. It's just the same old, same old. We could probably just jump into the new cards unless you guys want to talk about anything.
I wanted
else.
to talk about one thing. There is a pretty big shift. Shaman is no longer in last place. I don't know if you noticed or not, but us playing this the control big Shaman has boosted its win rate exponentially amongst these categories here. Shaman has made giant leaps in the tier system here at number 7 now instead of number 10. So I'd like to thank everybody playing Shaman out there helping that little stat out.
It's actually been there since last week as well. I'm surprised you didn't notice it last week, but
it was there last week too.
Yeah,
number
same
7
exact spot. It moved up 0.1%.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, baby.
No,
we take every percent we can get.
It was still number 7 though, and it's been ever since the patch went through, the nerfs and everything. It's been doing a lot better. So it's nice to see that the nerfs did change up a lot. I mean, as we saw from last week, Druid did drop to last place as opposed to like the top of the list there. So it looks like the changes did do a bit, but yeah, it's just Hunter. That's just it. That's the nuts right now.
Right.
Okay, new cards.
New cards.
New cards. All right. Where did we leave off on last week, or where should we start today?
Maybe we should start with some of the newer cards and then go back further, because I think we ended right at Ceremonial Mall-ish last week.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where we ended up. Unless they just jumble up the order. They might have just jumbled up the order.
We ended at like the Mage Scribe, I think. The 4/9 dragon.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
so we're really far back.
There's a lot they revealed a lot, yeah. But
okay.
we're not going to go through every single card, guys. We're just going to talk about the ones that we think are maybe controversial or that are just like major game-breaking cards or just interesting cards in general, I guess.
I think maybe we should start with Lilith since she's down there. And that card is something that people were kind of not impressed with. It's
Lillian?
the 4 mana in the bottom right corner. Yeah, Infiltrator Lillian.
All right.
Wait. You're going to skip over Kel'Thuzad?
We could do Kel'Thuzad too. Let's do that one next. Do you guys think this is good? I think this is good. It's like all I can imagine is being on the opposing end when you're doing a board clear and then getting smacked in the face afterwards. And that seems awesome. I think she's very cool and very good.
Robbie?
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
No, she's really, really good. I mean, she's a 4 mana 8/4, and you have stealth. So she's basically going to be able to do something right away. Like, not right away, but like, it's hard to interact with stealth. So most of the time you're going to be able to trade into a minion, go face, and then when she dies, she's basically a guaranteed trade into something that's either probably going to die or their face, or they'll take damage. There's like almost no like downside to this card. Like, you can play it in the early game and it's good. You play it in the late game and it's still good.
Yeah.
Can't be targeted. Like, it's just all around a good rogue card.
Imagine playing Vectis after her on curve, so you get 2 more 4/2s underneath of the dude and the little dragons, and then they just go face afterwards too. That would be so nasty. That's possible too. It's on curve too. If she just dies the turn you play, or like they clear somehow, you know, you can just follow up and super smart.
I mean, I guess if only one death rattle dies, you get 2 of that one. I'm assuming. With Vectis?
With Vectis, they would just be 1/1 dragons that have little 4/2 smorks inside of them.
Yeah, so, like if Lillian's the only death rattle that dies, they both get that effect, right?
Yeah, exactly. Both of them would just, which is really funny too. That would be really scary because that would turn into killing those dragons on an empty board turns into 8 damage to your face.
Yeah, I feel like Lillian is just very underrated right now. It seems like people are not hyping it up and they're just saying like it's okay, but I don't know. I share in the same opinion as you guys. I think it's very, very good. Like Rob said, stealth is like one of those mechanics where you can't really interact with it. It's kind of similar to dormant, and that's really good right now. And like especially like if they do find a way to deal with it, which is probably going to be awkward for them, then it's still going to trigger the second effect. So and you could also do some cool things like you can like you can attack with it and then excuse me. You can attack with it and then you could backstab your own minion and then get another attack off. So it could be like 8 burst damage if you need it at the end of the game.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's actually really fun. That's like an amazing way to get lethal too. Like you have like 9 damage that you need, so you throw her out and backstab her. I don't know. Like eviscerate and then dagger to face. Super sick. That would be amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm not excited to play against it, but I'm excited to play with it.
For sure. All right. Underrated. We all agree. Let's go to the next card.
Yeah,
I want to talk about Kel'Thuzad.
Yeah. I think this card is for me, it seems like one of the best cards in the set so far. And people are once again like saying like it's good, but they're not saying it's like too good. And I think that like maybe not in certain classes, but I think for Priest especially, like the fact that you could play this and Shadow Word Death, or you could Shadow Word Ruin even in the same turn. I feel like there's so many really good things you could do with this. There's so much potential, and like I mean, if you leave it up on the board, if it's somehow like this is like it's not even soft taunt, it's fucking taunt. Okay, like it's a hard taunt. If you leave this up, then you're in trouble.
The counterplay for it's going to be weird, right? Like, because you're going to have to think about it from an aggressive and a control standpoint, like the entire game. Like, oh my god, they could just play Headmaster Kel'Thuzad and take this if I drop this. It's going to make the game like really weird. Like when in terms of big minions, because you're always going to be afraid of like your opponent stealing it from you now, or creating their own.
That does create like counterplay though. So that is an element of Hearthstone that we've kind of missed in this last expansion, and maybe the other expansion as well. With these RNG heavy cards, so it's nice that like you have to like play around something. But it's also very scary. I mean, just having like a 1 health minion on board, like if you have an 8/1 on board, like I would be fucking terrified. You know, like,
I honestly wish it didn't have the stat line though. That seems like a little much. You know what I mean? Like a 4/6 on that ability. Like, God, like was that necessary? Like, no.
Yeah.
There's no stat tax here. That's just like the best. Like, you can pretty much get away with playing a 4/6 on 5, like, and be happy about it in most situations. So.
Yeah, especially since it has spell burst, so you can cast it the following turn. So like any class that like has cheap removal, so like you mentioned, Priest, Mage, Shaman has Torrent. Just literally any class that just has some sort of 1, 2, 3 mana card that can kill whatever this card is going to work with. And I was trying to think of a way that you could like use this against your opponent. So you have like a Doomsayer, but there's no way to like make your opponent cast spells to kill the Doomsayer to put the Doomsayer on your opponent's side. But you know, always trying to think trying to think of some way to make this card be bad for your opponent. But it's hard, right? It's just so powerful. It just seems like a really just good value control card, which is me and D-Money's favorite kind of classes. So,
yeah, It's I mean for me it does seem like just like mainly priest card, but you never know. I mean we still have a lot of cards to see. So
It'll
I
be a
just
super
think-
impactful card.
Yeah,
No
Oh,
way around
It
it.
can also come off of a Pexus Blast, right? Because it's 5 mana.
that's
So-
true.
Yeah, so like no
It wouldn't
minion
trigger
mage.
until the next turn, though.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's still like a buff to the 5 drops that you can get from a Pexus Blast, and because it's a mage deck and mage decks, kill shit with spells.
Can
this
you
seems like
imagine if it did trigger though? Like
Yeah, that's
that would
too
be
good.
ridiculous. Like you kill a minion and you summon a headmaster and then it triggers and then summons the minion you just killed next to it.
Well, you
Another
also have the
effort.
side quest up too, so you get the 6/6. So you get the Apexis Blast minion, you get this guy, and you get the 6/6, and then this guy summons the card you killed. It'd be easy, really easy. It'd
Let's
be
hope
awesome.
it doesn't work like that. That would be so ridiculous, man. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think so. So like when Galacrons were like first introduced, like the scariest thing would be like if your opponent could like discover. I know it wasn't in the game for a while, but like if your opponent could get more invokes, then it was like very scary for you. And now like the scary thing is going to be if your opponent like evolves into a card with spell bursts, then that could just change the whole entire game because these spell burst effects are very powerful. So something to keep
Yep.
in mind. It's cards that are gonna evolve or summon minions of a certain cost. Like you can high roll the hell out of those cards now.
Oh.
Very scary.
All right. Next one.
So did we want to take a look at the Lied, or did you want to look at the Mage and Demon Hunter legendaries?
I think we should
Um,
probably gloss over both.
I kind of wanted to go next to the. I think you have it in the same order as me. Yeah, the like it seems like a lot of the legendaries are cards to talk about.
Yeah.
Disciplinarian Gandling.
Oh yeah, the zoo card. Yeah, that's down there.
Yeah.
The mage, the warlock priest legendary. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it seems like a lot of the dual class cards that they come out with seem to be like very favored towards one class. Like this card in specific is like doesn't really seem like priest would use this to the fullest of the ability, but
It's gonna come off
Definitely.
the Galacrons.
definitely in Zoo Warlock. Excuse me. Definitely in Zoo Warlock, it can be quite nutty. And like I was talking with Gamer RBG the other day, and we were talking about this card a little bit. And he brought up the fact that you could play Wisp in your Zoo deck with this. And like turn 3 or turn 4, you play this, you play 2 Wisp. Your board is pretty crazy. And like even if
Oh my
you
God.
have wisps, like even if you don't use the wisp with this card in specific, like you have the 2 mana 2/2 that eats a minion and then gives you 2 lackeys, so like you can still find a way to make use out of them. Yeah.
I don't like that concept, but it sounds like it could be very good.
This
it is-
all comes back to 0 mana cards.
yeah.
This all comes back to the same point where having 0 mana cards is
That's
a
what the game's
very.
about, man.
It's just one of those things. I don't want it. I don't like it.
So
we don't need it.
wisp should be Hall of Famed.
Yep.
This card is ridiculous. But it's in the zoo context, it's super scary because it's just gonna steal games, you know. But
Yeah.
Good card. Good card.
A lot of
Yeah.
health for a 4 mana card.
Yeah, especially a lot of health for when the ability of the minion is to summon other things with a lot of health. Because if you trigger this on curve or with a coin, it's a 3/6 and a 4/4, and that's a little bit overwhelming for most people's turn 5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you already play but Dark Pharaoh turns your lackeys into 4/4, and that's like they're what? It's like a 5 mana 4/4 in itself, and it's only lackeys, but this can do it to anything. So it just seems like a just straight zoo. Like it just seems so good.
yeah. I think this
So.
is like actually better than Takan because it's a
Oh,
lot
yeah,
more flexible
Yeah.
and consistent. What it does, right? Yeah, you don't need to have any other cards. You need to have another minion. That's it. Just a minion, not a lackey. So
Zoo
Yeah,
decks
the
don't have
only
a
way
lot
I
of
can see
those.
this being a thing in Priest is like if they turn into like a tempo deck kind of thing, but I highly doubt it.
Even a mid range, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then it's like okay. I feel like Priest minions are just like good in general, so I don't even know if you'd want to really destroy them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I feel kind of bad for mages getting this legendary mage mains because of Mozaki. Well, primarily specifically just you, D-Money, because it's like it's like a card that if it does work, it goes into like some kind of nasty OTK. That is not the way you like to play mage. It's This is like the same from the same world that Quest Mage is from, you know? Like, I don't know if you play this in Quest Mage, but I'm saying it's like the same kind of concept where like suddenly you just end the turn with a whole bunch of whoa.
Yeah, it's I'm not really thrilled about it at the moment. I feel like it's they're trying to, based on the cards they've revealed so far, it seems like they're trying to push like a not really a spell mage, but like a like with the elemental guy, the 2/2. Like cheap spells kind of thing, and
Mana
just, like,
Cyclone?
yeah, something like that. They're trying to push like some kind of deck where you're just like playing cheap cost spells, like kind of like a tempo aggro kind of spell mage thing.
Yeah.
Which is not really my style. Yes, I'm hoping that Highlander gets more support or something like that for mage, but I mean, this card is like still decent overall. Like, if they don't deal with it, it's pretty good. Like, it does have 8 health. 3 attacks sucks, but yeah, not thrilling me so far. If they release like cheap spells, then maybe a little bit. But yeah, it's not my thing. I might be maining a different class this next expansion based on what I've seen. So
I mean, you have like the support with the cheap spells through stuff they've recently printed, like Incanter's Flow, for example, is one.
yes,
The secret, the find a secret card, but then it costs 0, so that's just another 0 mana spell. So you get 2 spells for
that's
2
true.
mana there. So there's like right now, Mage has like a lot, and they have Evocation, which can just go crazy. So
That would be
I mean,
fun.
yeah. So I mean, she's definitely gonna guaranteed. There's gonna be some OTK with this card in there, and with how much Freeze Mage has, you know, there could be basically a new potential Freeze Mage with this card, right? Because you have the ability to reduce your spells, you have ability to freeze the board, and Mage has the ability to basically shit out damage. So
Damn, I think you're gonna. I feel like you're gonna be playing this Freeze Mage.
I enjoyed Freeze Mage back in the day, and also if we can look at her art, is she shooting out the greater arcane missiles, the old 7 mana shoot 3 damage missiles out?
Yeah, I think that's what I thought that's what it looked like
right
too,
here
to me.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Greater missiles or something. Is that what they were called?
Greater arcane missiles.
Greater arcane missiles. Exactly. Okay, sorry.
7 mana, shoot 3 missiles out, each do 3 damage or some shit like that. Works to spell power. So
yeah.
I like this card. And then also she has like 8 health. So like worst case, if you like get her from front of power or like a Pexus Blast, because obviously it's 5 mana. Cause why wouldn't they make her 5 mana? Like it's hard to kill. Like 8 is a lot.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. If that thing becomes good, Demon Hunter can't trade into that. Like it's too much health. Like there's no way you put minions or kill that thing. So the only way like an aggro deck could probably deal with that thing effectively is with a silence and then ignoring it. That's like because its health is so insane that you can't invest that damage into the minion if you have it. You know what I mean? It's a 3/8 body. Like what? Like I don't know, man. That's in the upside of it's really scary too, I guess too. Because I'd be afraid that if I left it up and I had a board, like my opponent's gonna like blizzard me for like 5 mana across the board or something. Like he'll just like Ray of Frost, Blizzard, and like do like some crazy ass board.
Yeah,
clear.
you could do some. It does seem powerful. It's just not exciting to me, but it's.
I'm excited.
It's not immediately board impacting, which makes it look weak.
Yeah.
Unless you have other cards to go with it. Like
it's a little hard to see like how good it is until you like you're playing with it or something.
I see it.
A 5 mana 3/8 that's a must kill minion though is something that's scary for aggro players to look at though. So if there is some kind of combo that this thing is a part of where you have to deal with it, it's very scary as a stat line. That's, yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Do you want to talk about Kreen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know you do.
Guy's
There's no
drunk
way
off
this
the
card
felt.
isn't amazing. There's absolutely no way. I
That's
mean,
true.
I already plan on running this in every single one of my Demon Hunter decks just for the ability to, if I want to, like, use it with my Warglaves. Like, if I'm playing against like a Hunter in an aggro matchup, it gets to turn 6. I have this in my hand. I equip the Warglaves one turn, and I'm like, shit, I'm going to lose. I have 5 health, and my opponent has like 3 minions. Now I can play this, get up my like attack up really good, trade into the entire board, and then I'm fine. Like, it'll literally save you games as a Demon Hunter, a lot, I would imagine. And that's not even the high roll. The high roll is when you get it on curve and you trade all your minions into theirs, and yours are alive and theirs are dead. That's going to happen all the time. So thank you for giving Tempo Demon Hunter a little bit of gas, as we've had a lot of it removed over the last couple of weeks to the point where it can't punish even some slow decks now. I was afraid that with Combustion being printed and cards like, specifically things like that, and the way it was kind of falling behind in the meta, that Tempo Demon Hunter might just get erased off the map, because all of these Hunter decks and the new cards that are coming out that are very good at dealing with early cards, I thought it was going to get destroyed. But seeing a card like Ace Hunter Kreen doing this really disgusting stuff gives me hope that the class might still get to be good. And the archetype, the fast Demon Hunter, might still get through. Next, what do you think?
Wait.
I'm kidding.
You know I got a lot to say about this. Yeah, it's so we talked about it a few podcasts ago, how they're making these really strong minions that have like these very powerful effects, and they still have a very powerful stat line. So at least this stat line, it's actually like not too strong. It's just like it's literally an average stat line for a 3-drop. But nowadays with cards being printed, like, this is actually behind the curve, because like usually this would be like maybe a 3/5 or something for 3 mana. Like 3 mana cards are actually just a lot better than just a 3/3 nowadays. So it's nice that it's not like overpowered with the stat line, but I mean the effect is it seems
Pretty
like
ridiculous.
it seems like they just give Demon Hunter every single unique effect in the whole entire game. Like I mean, for example, Glide, we're gonna go over that soon. Just like everything, like they have Kane that bypasses taunts. They have Mana Burn that doesn't let your opponent play the game. It's just like so many. I guess they have like a bunch of like disrupt effects too. But like it just seems like they're just giving Demon Hunter like every kind of unique effect, and it would be cool if they spread it out. I mean, sure, Hunter gets it too, but I mean, I don't like either of them. But anything with Hunter, is not my thing. But yeah, this card, the ability to be immune for all characters, that's there's no way this card is bad. Like you said, like it's
good. It's really good.
Any situation, it's gonna be really good.
It's gonna win a lot of games.
Yeah. So kind of picking off of what you said, D-Money, like you said they're giving Demon Hunter kind of like everything. I was recently like watching some WoW like streams, and people are playing Demon Hunter, and like the class in WoW is just really flexible. Like it does a little bit of just kind of like everything, and they brought a lot of flavor of that from WoW, obviously, like into Hearthstone. Because I wasn't really super familiar. Like I didn't play a lot of Demon Hunter in a while, but I've been watching it because I've been wanting to play it. And bro, they've got everything in WoW. So they basically just gave them everything in Hearthstone. And then even so, people are like in chat are saying also, if a Demon Hunter doesn't have a board, then this card is useless, right? Like lol, lead Demon Hunter having a board. But the thing that Draco had mentioned that makes this card good is the fact that it basically just has blur. So even if you don't have any minions, guys, Warglaives is still a very powerful card, and Warglaives makes Demon Hunters take damage, and that's how you die. So if you don't have to take damage while attacking into the minions that you're killing with your weapon, you die less. And dying less is always good. So even worst case scenario, it's blur, which is a good card most of the time when you have a weapon.
Yeah,
so,
and it also forces your opponent to remove it instantly, because if you play another minion against it, that's dumb, usually, or bad in most situations. Like even if it's like a Shield of Galakron and you're like coining into it or something, you know, because whatever coming from the Demon Hunter next turn, if it stays on the board, it just trades into it and kills it. You know, with no
this seems to be like a theme, a recurring theme right now with these cards that we're reviewing, that
you have to kill them immediately.
You have to like kill these cards. So like that means that like you're gonna have to be running a ton of removal in your deck, or else. This
relates to Rob's point, right? Is what I was trying to say, was that you don't just play this on 3. Well, I argue, yes, you do, because then your opponent plays their combustion or whatever the hell they're going to do, because they have to get rid of it, which like means they're investing their turn into removing your card, not developing their own board. So any situation you play it, whether you're just playing a 2/4 on 3 with nothing on the board, is still positive, because they have to remove it immediately. It's scary in every circumstance. I think, I don't know why they wanted to give immune to every character. You know, I felt like even if it had like a give immune to a character and you're like your face, that might be a little bit okay. You know, like your whole board is a little bit ridiculous. But okay, we'll take the powerful card if we get it. Like,
yeah, you will.
All right, another huge card that's very controversial. Do we want to look at Glide?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so controversial because it's like such a unique effect again.
I have a lot of.
Yeah, you could go ahead.
No, I was just gonna agree with you. There's a lot of different takes on the card. Like it can be used in aggro, control, OTK, stopper. I'll let Draco start with it because he's the Demon Hunter master, and then we'll kind of like piggyback off.
A lot of people say, and some of the takes that I completely disagree with, in regards to Glide, is that you never run this in an aggressive deck. A lot of people say that, you know what I mean? And that is not the way they should think about, like, because they're thinking about the aggressive package now, and then they think about Glide, and they think like, oh, this messes up the curve, right? This is gonna fuck it up all the way. Like, you don't want to draw a 4-mana card on turn 2. Like, that'll like ruin what Demon Hunter's good at. And that's the way they're looking, because drawing Skull is usually pretty bad early in the game too. So the way Demon Hunter is built now, in an aggressive format, and Glide don't really just auto work, you know? But that isn't the way I see Glide being used in an aggressive Demon Hunter. And I'm not saying I want to play like this, but this is how you use it. You put a whole bunch of 1-drops in your deck, like you're playing like Warlock, right? Like you got your Battle Fiends, your Sidekicks, your Og Merchants, your Rush Merchants, your whatever the hell you throw in there, the little 0/4 taunt and stuff like that. And then you just spill your board, reload, spill your board, and keep doing this. And then it'll be completely overwhelming. You'll be removing your opponent's cards. You'll just keep reloading into Skulls, because you'll probably draw, if you run 2 of these, a whole bunch of 1-drops and Skulls and some 2-drops, and you'll basically just like flood nonstop, and it'll be pretty scary.
I mean, especially if you get this off a Skull itself.
Yeah, that's fairly likely too, because I feel like you run 2 Skulls, 2 of those, and all minions, and like 8 to 10 1-drops, and like 8 to 10 2-drops, and like maybe some 3-drops involved. You know, some silences or something.
Yeah, so like not only is it good for just reload, it's also got the, if you do outcast it, which I'm sure you are most likely going to be looking to, then it's a disruptor. Like, it's gonna disrupt any combo that your opponent's building up. If your opponent's playing a control deck, like, it kind of forces your opponent, if you're playing against a Demon Hunter, it kind of forces you to play a lot of your cards, as opposed to just keeping like a full hand, which is very good for like Demon Hunter against maybe like a Priest or a Reno Mage, or like if they don't play their cards, and that you're at risk of just getting down to 4 cards, losing your whole entire hand. So it does change up the play a bit, and I like that aspect. I also hate combo decks, so I like this card. But I just wish I could play this card in a different class besides Demon Hunter, because I really hate combo decks and I don't really like playing Demon Hunter. But maybe that'll change in the next expansion. I'm up.
You can play Demon Hunter.
I'm not opposed.
We'll accept you. Rob?
Yeah. So we talked about this a little on stream, Draco, where we basically just compared it to the old like Divine Favor Paladin, where they would throw up on the board. You know, their hand is low, your opponent has a big hand because, you know, they play cards that cost mana, and then they reload and they throw up on the board. And they just chip you out and just have a lot of little buff cards and some weapons. This kind of just is I just see it as like Divine Favor, and you just run it in a hyper aggressive Demon Hunter like we discussed. And then the other variant of why you'd play this card is you'd play it in a more control style Demon Hunter deck. And for example, if that mage deck we were talking about earlier is there some OTK freeze mage with the new spell power card, you know, they need 6 or 7 cards for this combo and they're just freezing the whole game. You know, they have 10 cards left. You assume they have the combo. You play this. It disrupts that combo and it gives you the turns you need to rip a win, right? So you're kind of disrupting your opponent's hand in the control matchup if you're a controller or a control E Demon Hunter deck, and it just buys you more time. And it's also very good if you want to play, you're talking about the Scoundrel, so you can kind of like just play Scoundrels and then hopefully find this card if you don't want to like main deck this card. So it's just like a good find. Worst case, it can be played in control, it played disrupt, played in aggro. So there's just a lot of flavor in this card, a lot of like different ways to play it, and all of which can be very positive.
I think a lot of the controversy, I agree with what you're saying entirely, Rob. And I think where a lot of the controversy around Glide comes from is weighing the value of hand disruption in Hearthstone, because it's not something that we've been familiar with in the past, you know, and especially because we're also seeing cards like Sphere that I'm sure we'll get to that allow you to like select which card to draw. And I think people might be undervaluing the effect of hand disruption. So like, yes, they might just shuffle an answer back into their deck and take it out. But if they're playing against opponents that are choosing not to draw cards, if they're specifically like tutoring cards from their deck and reordering things, and that's kind of the theme we have in Scalaman's Academy, the likelihood of these disruption cards disrupting things, it increases with every single card we see printed that allows you to do a special tutor or a special like reordering of the deck. So now Glide is even more likely to mess up your opponent's turn than it was before the expansion, because now
I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, especially it is interesting. Like in the past, we've seen like Dirty Rat. It's usually like a neutral card that's disrupting things. So it's interesting that one class is only able to do this kind of stuff. So you just have to play like a different way against Demon Hunters in general. But yes, I agree. I think disruption is like a huge thing in Hearthstone, especially because there's such a lack of it, and there are these powerful combos that are building up. Like from what we've seen, we'll go over some of the cards like you said. But yeah, I think this card is very strong. I just don't know. I don't know if it could work in a more control-y Demon Hunter as well, just because it's harder to get off the outcast when you're playing higher costed cards, of course. So
I think it's better in an aggressive list versus control, for sure.
I think if you're playing control, you maybe just run one of these.
Maybe.
It wouldn't be a 2 of it all. It'd just be a 1 of just to help you. Because if you're playing against an OTK deck with a control deck, you have time. Time is something you have because they kill you in 1 turn, and it's normally when they have 10 or less cards in their deck. Which, if this card is in the middle of your hand, you have plenty of time to get it to the left because you just play your minions out that are on the left. And if you're looking for it off the top or it's near the top, you just make sure you leave room for it. So I feel like in control, it's not the craziest thing to try to get off. But yeah, definitely not of a 2 of in control decks.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
What do we want to take a look at next?
Well, I feel like we can keep going with the disruption card since we were kind of talking about that. If you want to like do Stelina, since that's kind of related to this, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people have been saying that this card's not good. And before I read any of the comments, I literally like just woke up and I opened my phone to Twitter to check the cards like always, and this card popped up and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I was like, "Come on, bro. This card is fucking naughty." And then I read the comments and everyone's like, "This card sucks. This is not even good. What the fuck?" I'm like, "Are you serious? What? Am I stupid or are they stupid or I don't know." To me, like yes, if you don't get the outcast effect, this card sucks. Of course. Like based on like the stat lines of cards that are being printed right now, like yes, a 4/3 for 4 is awful. It's the same stat line as Albatross, right? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like if you don't get the outcast, it sucks. But like if you get the outcast, this is super strong. I mean, like as a tempo deck, like you're always gonna get this outcast, right? Because you're playing low cost cards, so you're most likely gonna be able to get it. And if your opponent has, if you build a big board, and it's like coming up to turn 5, and you know that your opponent has like a turn 5 board clear, or like they most likely will, like maybe they have a crazed netherwing or something, like you just play this, you remove it, and like you're good. Like I think this card is really freaking good. I don't know why people are saying that it's not.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, coming from, I played Hearthstone, I played Yu-Gi-Oh, I played Magic, and in Yu-Gi-Oh, there was cards like Delinquent Duo and Confiscation, and there was other cards in Magic that were like 1 or 2 mana, look at your opponent's hand, pick out a minion, put in the graveyard, put in their deck, and those cards are absolute staples in any control deck. And Hearthstone hasn't had stuff like that, where you get to look at your opponent's hand, know what's in their hand, and then get to pick one of those and make it go bye-bye. So not only is it like value in the sense that you're giving your opponent down a card and then they still have to use a card to get rid of it, you get to see 3 cards, so you know what kind of deck they are too, so it reveals information about that, and you get to put a future answer that they might have for a powerful turn you have coming up into their deck, or their next minion that they're going to play. Like, it's just insane. Like, yeah, obviously if you play this card and its outcast doesn't trigger, it's garbage, but like, the upside of this card is too good not to look at.
I completely agree with both of you. So I feel, let's talk about the common arguments that surround this card. What 4-mana 4/3 do we actually play? The answer to that is probably just like Maiev and maybe Albatross and weird situations. So obviously a 4-mana 4/3 is bad. Yes, we all agree on that. And it's not a great stat line. There's a big tax on it, and you really only get the value out of this card if you outcast it. The way I see this card being used is actually in aggressive decks. Let's say that let's even throw out that other deck concept with the glides, right? This could work in like normal tempo DH if you took some of the high end out of it, because of the fact you pretty much always have the early game as a Demon Hunter player. So on turn 4, your options are usually like, okay, am I gonna Umberwing and Hero Power, or am I gonna Umberwing and Brawler and trade in the 1/1 into this minion to kill this? Like, am I gonna sacrifice a minion, or am I gonna play 2 minions? You know what I mean? It's really things like that you're usually thinking about on turn 4. So playing this and being able to remove what usually solves the early lead that you have, or having any chance to interrupt the turn. Like if it's against a hunter and you see like, okay, on turn 4 they have a Bone Wraith, you just get rid of the Bone Wraith, and then like all of a sudden like their entire game plan is just thrown away. Like, and yeah, curve decks this ruins too. So like there is a situation where the other argument is I play this against an opponent control deck. I only see 3 cards. They have like 9. Like, why does that matter? I'm not going to even hit the one I want to remove. And the answer to that is like, when you're playing Demon Hunter, you usually like don't really care at that point by the turn 9 to like interrupt it. Like you're just throwing damage into face. So you'd probably just, like that's not even a point where playing this card is powerful. I think it's good in aggressive decks.
Yeah, for sure.
The information has been what is the word? It's proven to not be that valuable in Hearthstone. But I like with Madame Lazul originally being printed, we all kind of expected like, oh my God, you get to see your opponent's hand. She's so good. And we didn't even start using her until like the Thief Priest with the Thought Steals actually became like doable. So the information aspect isn't that huge. it's helpful.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically because like you pretty much know what your opponent's playing at this point. Because a lot of people play like the same cards in every single deck. So like maybe there's like 1 or 2 cards difference, but usually you have a good idea of what your opponent's playing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly like these kind of cards being printed for Demon Hunter. I'm not saying I think the hand disruption mechanic being delivered to Demon Hunter is fair in terms of lore or anything like that. I will say that I am excited to have a card like this in Demon Hunter because it rewards knowing your opponent's deck and playing very intelligently. And that is something that I feel like Hearthstone could have more of. And it makes me excited to play Demon Hunter because I get rewarded for knowing my opponent's cards, reading their hand, and choosing the right moment to use this with my own hand management. And that's exciting. It's just a big reward for playing smart. And that's what I love about Hearthstone. You know, like when you make a good decision and it wins you a game. So.
And this gets like kind of infinitely better if they ever print a Demon Hunter card that allows you to play outcast cards without them being the rightmost or leftmost part of your hand. If that ever becomes a thing.
Okay, stop it. Don't give them more
I'm just
ideas.
saying, like, I'm just saying stuff that I guarantee they've talked about. Or how would we stat a card for a Demon Hunter that allows them to do outcast, but the card not to be, you know, in the corners of their hand?
I could see them printing a card where it's like, as long as this card's on the board, like, all your cards automatically have outcast or something like that. Jeez.
Yeah, exactly. A battle cry or something like that. So,
yeah,
definitely. They've talked about it.
I'm crafting her golden and bringing her in probably every single game that I have for like the next entire cycle or longer, just because I like the way she looks and I like the effects. And even if she's not good, I'll take it.
But are you going to have her eating pancakes?
No, I don't know. Maybe I would have to give her a different kind of vegetable. Maybe we'll give her a muffin for Rob.
All right, cool.
A blueberry muffin. Oh my god, it's so fantastic.
Oh man, yeah. Cool art around her, right? Good idea.
Yeah.
D-Money.
It could be 3 muffins for 3 cards. She could be like cornbread muffin, a blueberry muffin. What card are we looking at next?
I think Draco wanted to talk about Penflinger.
I love it. Bit. So good.
All right.
Do you guys think this is good? I think it's super good. I think it's like an auto include in Rogue because it's just the combo enabler that never leaves. Maybe.
Yeah, so you could do some interesting. I don't know how good it is. I don't know if you really want to use a slot up, but if you do use it with I think Umbral Stalker, I don't remember the name. The card that gives you 3 coins.
That's crazy too.
You were right.
Yeah, you could do like 4 damage or whatever, but like, is that even good?
You could probably build a deck, right? With these Penflingers, some questing adventures, Edwin, and those Umbral Stalkers, and then like just cheese through the game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Honestly, that it works very well with questing adventure or explorer or whatever. Yeah.
This is scam central, man. Like this card right here in a Rogue is scam central, man. This because you can use it infinite amounts of times. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so like I've heard it been compared to like Elven Archer, and it's essentially just like a beefed up Elven Archer. Like there's no reason to run Elven Archer when you have this card in the game. And I heard somebody brought up Face Hunter running this card. And that's a little scary to me. Because I mean I don't like that deck at all. And
rapid fire synergy, is that what they were suggesting?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
There you go.
I mean, I don't like love Face Hunter either. It's just like an interesting implication of the card. Yeah, I mean, I feel like us as Hearthstone players, we know that like the way these decks get crafted and become good is from doing broken, degenerate things that like probably weren't the intention of the card. And the way this card interacts with like coins and questing adventures and all these other things leads me to believe that it's going to definitely see some competitive play, because it's ridiculous when you use it and exploit what it does, which is how many times can you play a card in a turn? And this one,
there's the rogue like way to look at it, but I kind of see it as like all the minions that say whenever it takes damage, get plus amount of attack or whatnot. So I kind of looking at that aspect. There's a lot of minions that say that. So you can do some pretty nasty things with like this and Gazrilla and Wild.
Oh my
god. With rapid fire and stuff. So I don't know.
It kind of works with the old Miracle package pretty well, right? You go with the Auctioneer, throw some preps in your deck, a whole bunch of like 0-cost cards. Then you can like add some pings and evolved with this. They keep everything going and being super stupid.
Oh, I don't know how long you keep that going. I mean, you have to pay 1 mana for it every time, so.
True.
Yeah, I think the rogue thing with the questing is probably the thing that would be played in like a competitive deck.
Can you guys imagine if Twin Slice didn't get nerfed? That would have been ridiculous, right?
I mean, it didn't get nerfed, so.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but
yeah,
this wouldn't be very cool with Demon Hunter having Twin Slices 0. That'd be pretty. It'd be really flexible about where you can point all the damage and stuff every turn. So.
Yeah, it's an interesting card that, like, at first glance you're like, it's a 1/1, it does 1 damage. Like, this is not gonna do anything, but I'm sure people will find ways to make it do shit.
Ways to exploit it and abuse it.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about Mage Hunter?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean,
I know you do.
Yeah.
So this is another Demon Hunter card that people are saying is not that great. And I'm also in agreement with that. So I think it's only good in like certain circumstances. I feel like Consume Magic is a lot better of a silence overall. It's cheaper. It has the potential to draw you a card. This card has to actually trade into something. So like unless you're like hitting it into an Edwin or you're playing against a Druid that's running like Embiggen and like huge taunts that you can't really interact with, then I don't really see this card being good.
I agree. I don't like I just think the 1 mana, Consume Magic is just better than this card. Because if you're trading this into a minion with taunt or death rattle, it's normally going to be decently sized, right? So it's just going to kill itself anyway. You're using it for the silence. So it doesn't draw you a card. Consume Magic does. Also, if your opponent has like a taunt and they put like a Doomsayer behind the taunt or some other minion you want to kill behind the taunt, it can't get through that. It have to attack the taunt first, hopefully live, and then attack the following turn. While Consume Magic can just go over the taunt and just hit the minion that you want to hit, right? So there's like different scenarios where this card is good, they're better than the Consume, but I think in most cases Consume is just better than this card.
I definitely understand the Consume Magic argument, which is the most common thing you see with why Mage Hunter is bad, right? Because like Earthshock was the best silence in the game. Now you have to debate, is Consume Magic a better silence than Earthshock? Because Consume Magic needs to be outcasted to draw a card and doesn't do it, you know. But like the 1 mana silence was like Shaman's like best attribute for like a while, you know. That's was amazing. So the fact that Demon Hunter already had a 1 mana silence kind of means like you shouldn't really think another silence that isn't 1 mana is super strong, considering we already have one that's as flexible as the most flexible one that was ever printed. You know what I mean? True. So I definitely get that argument. The one thing I will say that is a little bit of my bias as to why I think this card is good. I have lost an astronomical amount of games to Rogue because of Edwins. And I have ran a silence in my deck for a lot of time. And yes, sometimes I didn't lose because I had the silence, and that was a good situation. But the problem with Consume Magic, and what made me not continue running Consume Magic as a regular card in my deck when I was doing that for a long time, is the fact that I like to plan my turns like really far ahead when I'm playing Demon Hunter. Like, I think that's what you're supposed to do because of Outcast, right? So you're like, this turn I'm going to do this, this turn I'm going to do this, this turn I'm going to do this. Now, you throw a Consume Magic in there, and then you allow your opponent to interact with your hand because that card can only target enemy minions. So a lot of times they'll have an empty board, or they'll be like a Winged Guardian or any kind of untargetable minion that I just can't hit with that thing. Like even against hunters, they'll have like a, I don't know, like a
Feywing,
like a Feywing up or something, and then I can't play that card and outcast a card. And that really is something that has made me lose a lot of games when I was running the silence that I, you know. So that's something that I always fought with. which was
good
Consume
point.
Magic, is I hate only being able to target enemy minions because all the planning ahead that I do becomes redundant depending on what my opponent does with their board and their hand. It made it very difficult to plan ahead. But Mage Hunter doesn't have that problem, and it also has it has the body of a scoundrel, but you can move it in the turn it plays it. So even if you're not using it to silence and you're just like trading it into another minion on turn 3, like I'm killing like my opponent's like Satyr Overseer or something, it's not that bad. It's like even in the worst case scenarios, it's a scoundrel with rush. And the best case scenarios are that you hit a Doomsayer or you go through a Winged Guardian. So I don't really mind. I think it's a strong card because I think for the weaknesses of Consume Magic, still being able to draw this off a skull for free and trade it into a taunt, trade it into a big minion, kind of remedies the fact that you can plan ahead very effectively with your hand management if you run this kind of silence instead of the other kind.
I can
like that.
see it. I can see instances where it's good. It's just 3 mana seems like so much, especially in Demon Hunter where it's like you're putting out a lot of tempo. Typically, it's like
but it can trade that turn. Like
it's
active,
but like
stats.
you're not doing anything else if you're playing this, right? Like
right.
It's a lot of mana.
I mean, the other things we're doing on turn 3 are playing a brawler in hero powering. We are playing a brawler and Og merchanting it, which is now that combo, if Mage Hunter is meta, becomes completely not good. Which is another thing.
I mean that's a really good that combats it really well.
Yeah,
like
now you value trade into the brawler with the Divine Shield, erase the Divine Shield, and it just dies. So if people still go with that as their aggressive thing, like at the brawler packages and the enraged stuff, then this card is a pretty good answer to a lot of those shenanigans. I don't know. I think it's better than people think. I think just because Consume Magic exists and we don't play that, I think a lot of people forget about the things that suck about Consume Magic when you play with it over 1 million games. I think
it's a one of, if anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Maybe not 2, but
yeah,
I like having 1 of it.
Could be good.
It'll win games off a skull. You know,
when it's 0 mana, it does seem good. Yes.
0 mana cards are good.
You can say that. You can say that about a lot of things. Yeah,
it's really good against Egg and Warrior too. So that's a good point as well.
Right. Well, we have a lot of cards still left, and we're at an hour. So
we have like, I think these 3 last cards.
3 last cards.
Here,
we'll go through these 3
or 2. I don't even know if we need
like,
to talk about Vectus really, but
Vectus is awesome.
I think everybody knows the Vectus is insane.
Yes.
All right. So what's the next on the what's the journey? Where are we going? What's on the
we
menu?
should definitely talk about Sphere. Sphere is important.
Well, I think we should talk about Lorekeeper and Spheres.
Oh
so
my!
Whichever one you
Lorekeeper,
want to
Sphere.
go. Yeah.
All right, Lorekeeper. Okay, mate.
Yeah.
So
go ahead. Yeah, you want to?
I'll take it. All right, so we have a 4 mana 4/5 Battlecry Reorder deck from the highest cost minion to the lowest cost card. So the first thing when you think about this, we've been over it, it's Quest Warlock, right? Because you have Malagos and Alexstrasza, and then you put those to the top, and then you have your quests, and you tap into those 0 mana cards. So you basically guarantee 0 mana combo pieces, which then you just blow your opponent out. So obviously it's going to be very good in forms of control decks where you're looking for certain cards at certain times, and especially if you're able to discount them immediately. So then another thing that popped through my mind is you have Togwaggle Scheme. So you Togwaggle Scheme a big minion, and then you can flip it on top and play Wand or Galakrond, and then you're able to Wand and Galakrond into these huge minions because you know they're on the top because you added a bunch of them to your deck. So anything that flows like that is going to be really, really good with this card. It has a lot of flavor to it, and I think it's definitely going to make some decks for sure. It's definitely going to make some decks. We haven't seen all the cards yet, so it's hard to say which exactly decks will it make. You know, it's hard to say what it's going to work with in a meta. We have no idea what it's going to look like yet. But this is a very super powerful ability. So.
Yeah, this card is a literal game changer. It's kind of just like it's reminiscent of the 6 mana card Hemet, I think, or no, that was it.
That destroys all cards in your deck that are 4 or less or 3 or less.
Yeah, like 5 or less or so. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
This card, but like it's just better than that because it doesn't destroy that stuff. It's better in a sense, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it has good stats, or like decent stats, and yeah, this is purely a combo card. I mean, actually, it could be something that you run in a control deck to like if you can't draw, if maybe it's getting to like the late game and you want those high cost cards, then I guess you could play this. Um, but I mean, this everybody's already brainstorming combos that you could do with this, like with Rogue and everything with the Togwaggle when you reduce these cards. There's going to be a lot of crazy things you can do as an anti-control player or anti-combo player. I really hate that this card is going to be in the game, but I'm gonna have to deal with it. You guys have your fun. I'm just gonna sit here and not play it. But it's really, it changes a lot. That's it.
I don't know. Yeah, I think this card is insane. Like, yeah, it's so powerful. There's no way it doesn't see play. It's even good in situations that you don't even really think about. I mean, obviously, this card is like really valuable for combo situations. So we're gonna see it in standard, wild, everywhere for the next, forever probably. But it also is kind of good in aggressive style decks too, which is weird to think about as well. Usually we don't try to usually don't see people playing combo pieces like this, but just being able to hash out like your late game, even as like a hunter or something, might be like really nasty. So yeah, I'm sure this card is going to be all over the place all the time.
Yeah, there's so many different things you could do with it, and like, yeah, I didn't even think of like the aggressive kind of style with this. Like, if you only run like 5 if 5 cost is like your highest card in the deck, like you're just giving yourself a good turn 5 play. You're just setting yourself up or something like that. So
imagine Highlander Hunter versus Priest, right? It's like turn 9, you drop the Lore Keeper, then you draw them the Grand Slam into your Alex, into like your Bran, into like that. That's,
I mean, if you cut in a Grand and Alex, then you're just drawing into Bran, something like that.
Right? Yeah, that's even insane too. So like, but yeah, it's the whole looking at your deck backwards from the aggressive stuff is pretty like nonstop threatening too. So
yeah,
good stuff.
All right. We're going into the last card here, guys. So if you have any questions, we're going to answer a couple questions. We are running a little overtime, so we're not going to do too many questions. But if you have any questions that you want to ask us, we will quickly go over some right after this card. So just feel free to drop them in chat.
Yeah, and this goes to anyone watching it on YouTube or anywhere later as well. If you do want us to cover a card specifically, just let us know either like in chat or in the comments, and we can try and make sure we talk about it next week in our last podcast before the expansion comes out. So,
yep.
All right, cool.
Sphere of Sapience. At the start of your turn, look at your top card. You can put it at the bottom and lose 1 durability. A neutral weapon, the first neutral weapon ever printed. So this effect obviously gives you a little bit of an extra chance to improve your draws. It really reminded me of the old Doom solo player hero power of Bran, where it would allow you to discover which card to draw, and then you would pick one. So this one is obviously not that good because you're just deciding which card not to draw. But that over time, as any deck, it allows you to curve out better. It allows you to discover specific answers. It just increases the likelihood that you top deck into what is your best case scenario. So it seems really good. The only thing I use is just that's the only limitation with this, it seems, is that you can't use it in a weapon wielding class like Rogue or something, because then your hero power erases it. But then I also sometimes like to think about what if using this card in a weapon-based deck, like Demon Hunter, you don't really care if you get all of the durability out of it, right? What if, like, sometimes you just want to Chaos Strike and smack someone with an orb? And I love that concept to think about it. Like, what if I just can, instead of hero powering one turn, I equip a sphere, and then I decide what I want to draw for the next 2 turns, and then continue to smack people with an orb? I love it. But Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting to think about. It's definitely going to be amazing in Mage and Priest, and Druid probably. Even though Druid has to make the decision not to ping things with it, but controlling ramp sounds insane. What do you guys think?
Well,
You want to go first, D-Money?
sure. I wanted to let you go, but like I just need to. I need to talk to
Yeah,
Draco.
I have a hot take on this card. So go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think this is being played in Demon Hunter. I think you're a bit crazy if you are. If you're gonna use up a slot, unless it's like Highlander or some shit, I don't know.
Probably not.
Yeah,
Probably not.
especially since your hero is most likely attacking. So I think that this card is just. This is another one of those game-changing cards. I mean, this is an effect that we've never seen in Hearthstone. People have been talking about it. That it's very similar to Scry in Magic: The Gathering, which is I think it's like the same exact effect, something like that. Except you don't lose you don't lose like a durability or whatever. But yes,
Scry's written on cards, not like
Yeah.
something you do every turn. Like sometimes you pick a card and you can put it back.
Yeah, so it's like proven to be a very powerful ability in that game. I believe I don't play Magic, but I'm just assuming that if you get the choice, if you get the choice to just not get that draw and put it on the bottom like that, that is very powerful because like Draco said, it's like if you don't want it, like you're just making your next draw, like you're giving yourself better odds to draw something that you actually want, and that's just there's no way that that's bad. The only downside about this card is that
It's a card.
yes, the only that downside is like that it's taking up a slot in your deck. If you're keeping it in your mulligan, it's taking up a card in your mulligan. It can get oozed or it can get stolen by like Sticky Finger or something like that. And I'm assuming that there's going to be a lot of weapon removal based on what weapons we've seen and what weapons are already in the game, and how many people are going to play this freaking card. So that's the only downside to it. Everything else is just like, yes, this card is awesome, and it's a unique effect for Hearthstone, which is exciting. And every class gets to use it, not just Demon Hunter. And like Demon Hunter is not going to use this probably, so let's go.
I bet you they're gonna smack you in the face with orbs, man. I bet
Good.
you they're gonna smack your mage faces with Sphere of Sapience for like 8 right in your face.
I
Like,
want it.
Can you imagine interdeeming with this? That would just be the ultimate like flex. All right. Sorry. What do you think, Rob?
So beyond the obvious, like it's always going to be weak to any like weapon destruction card, just like any weapon is, right? So you have ooze and you have Harris and all that stuff. The scry mechanic is huge for control decks because being able to have multiple turns to find answer or multiple draws to find answers is really important. So just like its effect is already good, even if you have to lose a card, the fact that you're able to pick between like those 4 cards because it has 4 durability, it makes up for that 1 card loss because you're able to find stuff faster. So in my mind, it kind of counteracts the card down with the ability to find a card you wouldn't have found anyway. So that kind of like makes it better. But like something that is a little bit offbeat is the fact that it's a 1 mana has 4 durability weapon. So you said you would never play this in Rogue, but that's exactly why you got to play it in Rogue because you can put Deadly Poison on it. Now you have basically a 2 mana 3/4 weapon.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, so you can play just weapon upgrade cards on this thing, and you can just have this giant fucking malice thing that you're just beating the shit out of everybody with that originally started off with 0 attack. Yeah, so you just put like Deadly Poisons on here.
Because that's not how this card was meant to be used, and I love it.
Oh, no.
That is so like, cool.
Yeah, but 4 durability on a weapon for 1 mana is huge, especially when you're buffing it up. So, like, granted, it'll still be weak to, like, weapon destruction, but I'm going to build, like, a rogue deck built around, like, buffing this fucking thing up and playing Deadly Poisons, and I'm just going to beat the shit out of someone with this little Sapphire thing. And then, like, worst case, like, you know, if I don't have a Deadly Poison, my Sapphire finds it, and then I just reward my Sapphire by giving it the Deadly Poison.
You got to call it Maul Rogue. Like, so it sounds like Mill Rogue, but it's MAUL Maul Rogue, because you're mauling them with the sphere, right? I don't know.
So I don't know.
It's great.
Yeah,
I don't
really see that side of it. I mean, you do have the Dr. Krastanov card, the new legendary that when it attacks, you get +1/+1 to your weapon. So I mean, like, you can buff it up, sure. I don't think that's going to be the best use of it, but it could just be like an additional thing that's in your deck that like if you get it off, like sure you get to push a little more damage, and it like in some cases your opponent just can't deal with it if they don't have weapon removal. If you're playing against like an aggressive class that doesn't run oozes or anything, then it's probably going to stick.
Yeah, you just run Vargoth and you play Deadly Poison. Then it's a 1-mana 4/4 weapon that does 16 damage. It's just gonna get bigger. Let me tell you, this thing is just gonna get big. You've never seen the likes of the sphere this big before.
Just like one last thing to touch on with this card that I like just realized that is like very also unique. So like we see it with Lorekeeper Polkelt as well. Like we never had the ability to put a card on the bottom of our deck. So that's very interesting in general that like, and it also makes it a little worse is that like maybe you're like iffy with a card and you're like, if I put it on the bottom, like I'm literally like never going to see this for the rest of the game. Probably.
I'm pretty sure if you put it on the bottom, it erases the Polkeet.
Wait, well, yes. Well, I'm not saying like them in conjunction with each other. I'm just saying like Polkelt also puts the lowest card on the bottom as well.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think you can use them together though, which kind of sucks. Like now that I'm thinking about it, because like if you shuffle a card back in your deck, it erases the ordering. So if you have this already equipped and you say no to the next card, then the whole Polkelt did nothing, right?
Again? Wait, what?
So you have to keep saying yeah, because the Polkelt gets reset, like the reorder your deck the second you shuffle any card into it. So one Albatross will make all the cards that are on the top that are your high cost cards will all just get RNG shuffled again. So the second you touch the deck at all, it reorganizes it.
But these cards don't shuffle though.
It says plays it on the bottom. So I wonder if that is so it doesn't reorder.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so it would just say put it in the deck. Like it's cards that specifically put things at the bottom, like Magic does that. Like it'll say put it at the bottom or shuffle it back into your deck. That's like a big difference in mechanic there.
So if it doesn't say shuffle, then it's fine. Okay. It's just shuffle.
Well, it's also just put back into the deck
you a rough
as well.
Time, man.
I know, yeah. It doesn't shuffle, dummy.
Draco was making a good point that half of you didn't even know that when you put a card into a deck, it reshuffles it. So he already told you something. Most of you had no idea. The other part, you guys need to stop giving him a hard time.
It's funny though, because it is kind of a weird interaction, you know, because nothing else says put something on the bottom.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like that makes it a lot more interesting as well. Just like, and that does make it harder to decide if you want to put that card on the bottom or not, because unless you have a card that's going to shuffle your deck, then you're not going to see that card anymore until the very last turn or whatever. So
it's neat. I hope there's more cards that do this kind of stuff. It's honestly, I love it.
Yeah, cool shit.
Yeah.
All right. So is it Q&A time? Quick Q&A. Very
Quick
quick.
Yeah. Hold on. Is there like a monster inside this thing? There is. In the sphere, there's a monster. You see it?
Is that like an octopus?
Yeah, it's like, oh god, what just happened? Yeah, inside the sphere, there's a picture of a monster, but I don't know who it is. But maybe we'll see that guy later.
Is that Raza? No, I don't know.
There's somebody in there. I don't know who it is. He's not happy about it though. It looks like Mag, to be honest, but yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Q&A.
It's Leroy.
It's Leroy. Oh my god.
All right. Yes. If you guys have any questions, we're going to answer questions, like 1 or 2 questions, just very quickly. We are a bit over time and whatever. So yes.
Questions.
I'm assuming we'll probably go over the new Paladin Legendary next time. Yes, because it just got released.
We do think it's good though. Spoiler.
Very good.
We kind of all agreed on that at one point earlier. Just so. If you're on the fence, you think it might be good?
If you're on the fence about crafting it golden day one, I suggest you do.
There's no way you regret it.
And if you're coming in late, for those of you who didn't make all of this, every card that we reviewed today was good.
I imagine the new Paladin would interact with Bamboozle would it would probably work in favor of the legendary for the priest. It would probably bamboozle the minion and then reduce it to 3. I would imagine. I don't
Yes.
think it would reduce it to 3 and then bamboozle.
Yes.
It's just weird, the wording, like whenever this attacks a minion, set that it's just, yeah. I don't know. Sometimes you never know with Blizzard. Sometimes, honestly.
Gamer has a good one. Week 1, what class do you think is going to be on top? For me, aggro decks. Whatever is a good aggro deck will be on top. That's how it is every expansion until the meta gets more refined.
Probably
'Cause
Hunter. Probably
Yeah.
people still playing Highlander Hunter.
Yeah. So for those of you, a little tidbit for those of you who are like day one, let's say you can't afford like the new cards, or you don't have them, or you're like scared to lose in a brand new meta where we have fun things to play with, and you don't really you can't take an L. You can play the best decks that are good right now, and even with new cards that come out, you can still play those decks and they're still good.
You can farm everyone having fun.
Yeah, so you get to kill everybody playing with new cards if you just run Highlander Hunter. Not that I recommend that, but you know.
I have a hot take. Aggro tempo Paladin, best deck day 1, week 1. I know we haven't seen like any of the cards. We've seen only a few, but so far it looks like that's what they're pushing, and it's looking really good.
My hot take is that it'll be aggro rogue, because that's secret passage card looks like the strongest card I've ever seen printed.
True.
So scimitar rogue with secret passage and viscerates and charge minions or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to tell at this point. There's still so many cards to be revealed, but it looks like aggro's in a good spot. It also looks like control is in a decent spot, but I feel like we just haven't seen enough yet.
Aggro Sphere Rogue, number 1.
Crafting any golden legendaries? Probably the Demon Hunter ones. And spoiler, D-Money will probably craft the mage ones. Golden.
I mean, so far, not really for the mage, but I love my golden cards, and I have like 50k dust, so I'll be dipping into the funds a little bit.
Secret passage is where I call for the nerf card.
There's a Sir Lancelot says, "What do you think other study cards will do? Like nature studies is the only study we've seen, right? So yeah, I forgot about that. Does every class get a study?
I imagine philosophy is that card, right? No, it's not, because every class would have it, right?
I don't.
I need to know more about studies. I think there's supposed to be a single like discovery card for each class.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure it'll just pertain to the whatever class identity they're trying to push right now for it.
Yeah, what do they print for mage? Magic trick exists. 1 mana discover a spell. Like
reduce its cost by 2, something like that.
Could be like a 4 mana. Because mage doesn't have anything for 4 mana right now.
I mean, maybe all the studies are just going to be 1 cost and discover stuff and reduce it by 1. I have no idea.
That would be really boring.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm just theory crafting.
I hope the Demon Hunter one says discover a weapon from your own class. That would be sick.
That'd be disgusting. What about build a weapon?
What discover a weapon from your class? Equip it.
You like building a
1
weapon?
Mana.
You think building a weapon is less disgusting than just discovering one?
I don't know, man. I think building a Demon Hunter weapon would be pretty cool.
Yes, it's cool until it's played against you and you cry. Yes.
Glaive Smith. It would be great, dude.
They didn't print the 4 mana 5/5 weapon outcast summon 2 5/5s with rush, life steal, taunt, divine shield yet, but it's coming.
Next wave of cards come out at like 4 a.m. tonight, I believe, or like really late tonight. I think there's one at like 10 a.m. There's someone really late tonight, and then tomorrow it's full rollout again.
There's one at 11 p.m.
right
tonight, and then there's a lot tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's all. I think
that's a good place to wrap it up, boys. I want to thank everybody for tuning in for today's podcast. For those of you unfamiliar and don't know where to find this, we have a Metabreakers Podcast YouTube channel where Draco uploads all of the goodness to the YouTube where you can watch it, not live. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey,
Yes.
thanks for having me, man. I'll post the link for everyone in chat right here. But yeah, have a great day, guys. Thanks for having me on as always. It's always a pleasure to see you.
I like how you always say thanks for having me, as if you're not like a permanent guest on the show.
I know.
Thanks for being my friends, guys.
Okay, yeah, that's better.
Appreciate that.
There you go.
Yeah, it was a fun time, and looking forward to the expansion still. I mean, as we get closer and as the meta gets more and more stale, and it gets harder to play this game until the expansion, yeah, just more hype. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we got next week to talk about, and maybe we could get a guest on to give us some opinions as well. I don't know.
I like it.
You will
That'd
have
be
to stay
interesting.
tuned.
All right, boys. Have a good
See ya.
stream.
You
Have a
too.
good rest of your day. Peace
Peace out.
Later,
See
Gators.
ya.